Aloha and magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. My name is Pia Arboleda, Interim Director of the Center for Southeast Asian Studies and Professor of Filipino at the Department of Indo-Pacific Languages and Literatures. Mahalo to the conference organizers of AAS-in-Asia, to our roundtable chair, Dr. Juliana Wijaya, and to my colleagues here today. Although I cannot join you in person, I am honored to speak on behalf of the Filipino and Philippine Culture Program at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Living Pluralism, Reimagining Philippine Studies Through Language, Critical Thinking, and Community Engagement. To truly understand the Philippines, we must underscore its complexity, not simplify it, but fully embrace its cultural diversity, its languages, its communities, and its histories. The Philippines is not just a country, it is an archipelago of over 7,600 islands, home to more than 180 ethno-linguistic communities. Every island, every language, every cultural practice tells a story that expands, challenges, and reshapes the dominant narratives we have inherited. At the University of Hawaii at Manoa, our students come from many backgrounds: Filipino heritage learners, second language learners, immigrants, community members, and non-Filipino students. What unites them is the desire not just to learn a language, but to connect to people, to memory, and to meaning. At the heart of the Filipino and Philippine literature program is a guiding principle we return to again and again: Filipino sa isip, sa salita at sa gawa, or Filipino in thought, word, and deed. This is not just a slogan, it is a commitment, a promise to live and teach the Philippines not as a distant subject of study, but as a living, breathing experience. Our program invites students to hold space for its richness, to think deeply, Filipino sa isip, about the regional voices that have long been marginalized in dominant narratives. We challenge the assumption that one language or one history can represent a nation of such extraordinary diversity, with different Philippine populations. From the north, we have the Ifugao, the Ifyalig. From the south, we have the Muslim populations, and even the Lumad. When we say salita, Filipino in word, we mean that language is more than communication. It is inheritance, it is resistance, it is identity. Our language classes are not just about mastering grammar or expanding vocabulary. They are doorways into worlds. When a student learns an Ilocano song or reads a Cebuano folktale, they are not just learning words. They are stepping into ancestral memory, into ancient wisdom, into the lived experiences of communities. They're about learning how to listen to elders, to regional languages, to the worldview embedded in everyday speech. For heritage learners especially, this can be transformative. Many come to class having grown up hearing their grandparents speak a language they never fully understood. To reclaim that language is to reclaim part of themselves. But thought and word are not enough without action. Filipino sa gawa, Filipino indeed, reminds us that knowledge must be lived, it must be practiced. That is why we embed community engagement into our curriculum. In Hawaii, we are fortunate to be surrounded by vibrant Filipino communities, and we treat those communities not as subjects of study, but as partners in knowledge making. We work closely with the Philippine Consulate General in Honolulu, student and community organizations, artists, and elders. Students don't just study culture, they participate in it, serve it, learn from it. One of the projects that the advanced Filipino classes would do would be to do an oral history project. And in this way, we honor the stories of the people in our community. And those stories tell us of our collective history. These partnerships blur the line between classroom and community, between theory and practice. They remind us that Filipino identity is not something we define alone, but something we co create in relationship with others. To embrace pluralism fully is also to be courageous. It requires that we interrogate the structures, colonial, linguistic, academic, that have historically privileged certain voices and silenced others. We don't ask ourselves to memorize. We don't ask our students to memorize facts. We ask them to feel the weight and beauty of a multilingual, multicultural Philippines and to carry that understanding forward in their lives and work. It means confronting uncomfortable truths about the marginalization of some communities, about the erasure of indigenous knowledge, about how colonial and post-colonial structures continue to shape what is taught and what is forgotten. Many people still think the only language that's important to learn is English. So when students begin to ask these questions, when they think critically about power and identity, they are practicing Filipino sa isip, being Filipino in thought, in inquiry, in conviction. By moving beyond surface representation, we empower students to see that culture is not static. It is contested, evolving, and full of tension. And that's not the problem. That's the beauty of it. That's what gives it life. We also caution against reducing multiculturalism to colorful festivals and folk dances. Although I love teaching about food and cultural festivals, we invite our students to look deeper at the systems that decide which cultures are celebrated and which are forgotten. So, the study of Philippine culture should not be Manila centric. And while we teach Tagalog based Filipino, we also try to understand other um, ethno-linguistic groups of the Philippines. So, so pluralism is not a decorative theme. It is a responsibility. It challenges us to reimagine who gets to be heard, seen, and valued in the study of the Philippines. This reimagining happens in the everyday acts of teaching, learning, and connecting. It happens when we live out the values of Filipino sa isip, sa salita, at sa gawa. In a world that often demands simplicity, pluralism asks us to sit with complexity. In a world that divides, language and culture can connect. In a time of rapid cultural change and political chaos, teaching pluralism becomes not just an academic task, but a moral one. At the University of Hawaii at Manoa, we see our program as a space for healing, reclaiming, and reimagining. We are not just teaching about the Philippines, we're helping to build a future where every language, every region, every story has a place. We are not just scholars. We honor the wisdom of our elders. We are storytellers and keepers of the flame. And most importantly, we are Jedi warriors, my favorite term. We are Jedi warriors who set out to combat ignorance, fight forces of evil, and build a better world. May we continue to teach with integrity, to listen with humility, and to build spaces where diversity is not just acknowledged but lived deeply, intentionally, and joyfully. Maraming salamat po.